Hey everyone, this is One Man Zerg with the UEN.com. For all of you Zerg players out there who don't know how to effectively deal with those strong Protoss armies, this is an example of how Machine dealt with White Raw's army pretty effectively in that deadly Colossus. So I want to start it right here so you can see there's what White Raw sees, and here's what Machine sees. So he sees White Raw's troops are moving in. So he's going to see them up to there, and then he's going to bounce from that tower because he says, oh, I don't want to deal with that force like this. But I do want to make him think I'm going back there and then go down here. So what does that do? That allows Machine to come at his opponent from two sides. So he's going to come out from here in the front and from below. And that's exactly what Zerglings want to do. They want to be able to surround the opposing troops. And if he were to come out here, White Raw would see it with his observer, and he would also just be able to back up. But if he comes from here, he's not going to be able to back up as easily. Also note he's got that creep spread, which makes his troops go even faster. So let's see what plays out from here. White Raw's going to move in, and Machine waits for him to be close enough and sucked in there. And now he can bring his Zerglings from behind, and White Raw has no chance to back out. And so he moves half his troops up there and keeps half back here. That's perfect. And then if he would have brought in the rest of his troops, that would have been even better. But those Zerglings with that surround are just so effective at taking out your opponent's army. And you can see White Raw's troops that were pretty sizable army, pretty scary for, you know, a Zerg army to deal with, are just going to get taken out. This one's on dealing effectively with a early Protoss attack. So you see this group of 6 Zealots and then all these Zerglings. But you don't want to confront the Zealots in a line. Like, you don't want to chase them up that ramp and fight on that ramp. So you pull them back, give them the Queen to fight, and then pull the Queen back and surround them with the Zerglings. Just do anything you can to get those Zerglings to be in a surrounding position on the Zealots, and they'll quickly deal with them. And never fight the Zealots in a line. Here's another example of Machine fighting against White Raw, with Machine being the Zerg and White Raw being the Protoss. And White Raw has a pretty impressive army size. You can see the army's much bigger, not necessarily count-wise, but in terms of cost-wise, than Machine does over here. Machine's army is comprised of primarily Zerglings. And this is the important part of this scenario. These Zerglings coming in from the back. So Zerg, people have seen our Sentry video and they wonder, you know, hey, how do I counter this with Zerg? What do I do? Well, there's a few things. You can get some Ultralisks. You can have Hydralisks, because Hydralisks have a, with the upgrade, they have a 6 range, which is the same as the Stalkers. And I think it's slightly longer than the Sentries because they have a 5 range. So the Hydralisks don't worry as much about the wall off, as they can fire over it better, the force field being the wall off. But if it's early game and you don't have that tech yet, or you haven't been able to build enough of those units, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get positioning on it. Zerg armies are, positioning is the most important for them because they're melee units. So let's watch what happens. He's bringing in his Zerglings from the back, down here, because he knows he's going to have to get us around to have a good fight. And he's got him in here, but I don't think he's going to move in with them quite yet. And he sees, okay, now this is go time. So remember, get a proper positioning and then jump on him. And so you can see he jumps in with those Zerglings from the front, and then he comes in with those Zerglings from the back. So he gets that good quality surround on his Protoss opponent. And these force fields, they're just not quick enough when there's that close distance. If the Protoss player sees you coming and you're trying to come at them, it's a lot harder for you, the Zerg player, to attack them, but it's a lot easier for the Protoss player, White Raw in this case, to force field off. But since White Raw made the aggressive move here, the Zerg player can then, you know, react to his move and say, okay, I'm going to pounce on you. And then with that many Zerglings coming in that quick, it's hard to wall off that many Zerglings. So then you see what's going to happen. He gets all his Zerglings in there. He gets a pretty effective surround. He's got some cut off over here, but not a big deal. And then he's just able to kill that army because he's got that surround. If you can't get that surround, or if you can't get all your units in there, you're definitely not going to be able to win the fight. So that's very effective use by Machine. Once again, he created proper positioning for his troops by getting some in the front and some in the back, and then he used that positioning to pounce on his opponent from both sides. So remember, suck your opponents in and get yourself in a position to surround all parts of their army. Like here, both the Zealots are surrounded and the range units are surrounded, and that's very effective. And coming from multiple sides allows you to do that, or sucking them into your base allows you to do that to get the advantage on larger size Protoss armies. You can also, in the early game, suck troops in. So these zealots, you don't want to fight them in that line. You suck them in with that queen or back from the base. Then you go back in, you surround them with your Zerglings, and you gain the advantage on that army so you can defeat it. And then there's also the sentries. You want to pounce on them from both sides. So come in from the front, come in from the back, get that surround on that army, get your units in there quickly before they have time to react, and then you're able to finish them off. If you like this tip, you can leave a comment below this video or subscribe to our channel and leave a comment about a strategy you'd like to learn, and then we can present that video to you because we want to grow the esports community. Thanks for listening.